Good morning. Today is Tuesday, January 6th, and this is an authentic conversation. And I am Sonny Hamilton. I'm here with my co hosts,
Darren Hamilton.
John Walser.
and we've got our repeat guest,
Marjorie Rohde.
and we're very excited. We have a topic that one of you followers requested. And Darren has done a lot of research on this. So I'm going to let you take over.
I think we all have, but it's been a fun subject because it's something that I've never known very much about. I made a comment, I don't know if it was in the last video or just around the table, but we have a lot of years worth of sitting in church between the four of us. We all grew up in the same church. And I've listened to a lot of church sermons since then, just on YouTube or wherever, or even just sitting in church. And I had literally zero understanding of Israel. And Israel is in the news so much right now. And so it feels really important. And I think it's because of our complete lack of understanding of Israel that we have what's going on in the world and what's going on in the news. And so anyway, I don't know if anybody has anything they want to interject at this point, because it would be nice if rather than me just sit here and yip yap, if
Okay, well,
people have things
sure.
to say as we go.
So this is really on the 12 tribes of Israel. That's kind of your topic, right?
Yeah, the 12 tribes.
Okay. And we've done some of the research, John
The throne
and
of David,
and Darren.
all of it.
Yeah, but to be able to bring you some of the actual verses in the Bible so that we're not just throwing things out there and saying, take our word for it. Right. So
Sonny's going to be a lot better at that than me, because I'm kind of one of those people that just throws the nugget out there, because I spent so long where I would dig and I would dig and I would dig and I'd come up with verses. And then the people would go, well, you've got your verses and I've got mine and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, so screw it. I don't. So
we're dealing with a different group of people now.
we are. So where you guys are all, I mean, you wouldn't be here if you're not wanting to learn and you're not wanting, and none of us sitting around this table are professionals or know-it-alls when it comes to Israel or any of that. But I have come to start reading and looking for how everything in the Old Testament applies to my life, because what was it that we used to hear growing up about the Old Testament? Do you guys remember the Old Testament concealed?
Yeah.
The New Testament revealed.
Yeah.
And
well, they used to, I mean, we would read certain books in the Bible, like we would go and read Psalms, and it was really easy, especially if you were going to have to give your testimony. You'd just go find a verse.
your testimony meaning you stand up and share your thoughts. For
the week. Where you failed for the past week.
But I long to do better.
Right? That's what we always tease about. I long to do better.
Well, there's so many aspects to the 12 tribes or the 144,000. There's the numerology.
Huge numerology.
Yeah.
John's good with numerology.
Packed with numerology.
So we'll try not to spin all the religious people out here that think numerology is a sin, but
it isn't.
It isn't.
Hence the book of Numbers.
Yeah.
And I even need to go back and read the book of Numbers again.
Well, you're doing better than me, as I haven't read a lot of the Old Testament. So, and frankly, I was told when I was trying to read some of the Old Testament when I was going to meeting or the church in the 2x2 is, oh, that's really heavy. That's too heavy for us workers. So we always stick to the New Testament.
Workers being ministers.
And so I was like, well, I guess don't read the Old Testament. That's really what it comes down to. So I didn't really read a whole lot.
Here's the interesting thing. If we don't understand the Old Testament, how do we expect to understand the New Testament? If you
That's
don't understand the first half of a book, how do you understand the last half of a book?
Exactly.
It,
and my mom always said that reading the Old Testament was easier to understand for her than the New Testament.
oh, wow, interesting.
She always had a hard time with the Old Testament. Or I
The,
mean the New.
yeah, the Old Testament's really interesting if you remove all the names and all the dates and all the tribes and you look at how it relates to you, how it relates to me and my life rather than some ancient people's lives. It's actually very fascinating, and that's what I even saw with this Israel subject. Sorry, I banged my cord. um,
He's
uh,
getting excited over here.
yeah, I have to talk with my hands and I need to tie them up. But even the subject of Israel, it changes when you look at what Israel actually means. It changes the meanings of the verses. If you understand the meaning of Israel in the Old Testament, it completely changes the verses. Nice. That's karma for
Yes.
getting onto my case.
It is. I banged the table.
It completely changes the meaning of Israel in the New Testament. And, something, hopefully I don't get off onto these rabbit trails because I have a hard time keeping on just the
Topic.
exact topic. But I'd never really understood why religious people are so wound up about Israel and the need to support Israel until recently. I mean, first, I think it was Ted Cruz, when he was talking to Tucker and said something like, well, in Sunday school, I learned that, if those who bless Israel will be blessed and those that curse Israel will be cursed. Well, did we understand the real meaning of that? And then I was talking to a friend recently, and he had mentioned the throne of David, and I'd never paid any attention to the throne of David, but when Jesus returns, correct me if I mean, if you guys know this, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Jesus returns, it says that uh, he's going to build his church, his new temple, on the throne of David. And so that's the significance. Those are the two main significant things that I understand as to why religion hangs their hat on Israel, because I could never understand. I mean, we spend billions to the state of Israel, but
And the interesting thing that I found was that there was 20 generations between Adam and Eve,
Mm-hmm.
and Jacob.
oh well.
20 generations. Now, granted, the people in those days lived a long time, so I don't
That's even more significant, though, when you think about it.
right. So anyway, but there was 20 generations, and then before, the one thing you had said is before Jacob became a Jew, he was a Hebrew.
Abraham. Well, but Jacob too, I guess. So, Abraham, the first time he mentioned, and I think you might have this in a verse, the first time that he was referred to as a Hebrew. And
It was the first time Jacob.
no,
maybe
Abraham.
It was.
Abraham was the first one to be referred to as a Hebrew.
You know
And
what? I don't see that in my notes now. I
Okay.
don't know where it was.
The word
Maybe you could find that, John. Is
What's that?
the first
Genesis 14 and 13 was where he was mentioned. He was referred to as a Hebrew. But the word Hebrew means to cross over. So Abram at that time crossed over from the land where they were idol worshiping. And so when I look at that and put that into my own life, we as Christians are supposed to be born again. And when we're born again, we're supposed to leave the old ways. We're supposed to cross over from the place of idolatry to serving Christ, serving God. I think we're supposed to actually serve God, follow Christ as our example. But that was the significance of the Hebrew name. And so Abram started out as a Hebrew. Then Jacob was the first, that was when he was then referred to as Israel, was when he wrestled with God. You might remember that story of where Jacob wrestled with God and with man.
Right. And
And
that was Genesis 32,
32 and
24 to 28. Do you
Do you-
want?
yeah,
do you
those
have
verses.
that available? Maybe you could read that. One of you, either one.
John, he's looking it up in the
Okay.
good old King James.
I am.
But there again, we all wrestle with God, and whether we become overcomers in it,
Okay.
that depends on us.
Okay. This was when Abram and Lot, if I remember right. Abram, and it was before Abram became Abraham. He was called Abram, and his dad was I think I don't remember now. Hahor or something like that.
I can't remember either. Honestly,
Anyway,
all of that stuff isn't very important to me, so my brain doesn't retain it because what's important to me is for us, there needs to be a time in our life where we cross over, where we quit serving false gods. But how do we know that we're serving false gods if we don't even know what false gods are? And because money is a false god.
Politics.
Politics is a false god. It's not going to get us to the land flowing with milk and honey. None of those things are going to get us to the promised land. It's as long as we continue serving those things, we're going to remain in the wilderness. And that's what's important to know is when we read those terms in the Bible, we need to read them from the standpoint of, okay, this means going from the land where we serve false idols to where we serve God. He wants to be our only God. He's a jealous God. And anybody who has kids or whatever that have kind of been turned from their fathers, those fathers know what it feels like to have other people raising their kids.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I know it doesn't mean a lot to you, but it does
That's right.
mean
And it's
to
important.
me and maybe some of the other followers
Yeah.
is Genesis 14 and the 13th verse is where it talks about, and I'm looking at the New Living Translation, is because to me it's a little easier to read. But one of Lot's men escaped and reported everything to Abram the Hebrew. That's where it says Abram the Hebrew. That's the first time it says that. Who is living near the oak grove belonging to Mamre the Amorite. So anyway, that's the first time that we found anyway. Now maybe some of you followers would find something sooner, but that's where the first time Abram was referred to as a Hebrew. So go ahead.
So anyway, I lost my train of thought if somebody else has something to bring in there. But then it's important, I guess, even so the Jews was Judah when they became, so they went Hebrew, Israelites, and then Jew. And so the Jew was they took on that name when they went into captivity. So if you read the verses, read that. Can you find that verse that you talked about? Because I have it here in
Which one?
regards to the throne of David.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
that is
so Luke 1,
Luke 1:29.
31 through 33.
Yeah, so let me get there really quick.
And you'll read, you'll think this verse will have a completely different meaning when it mentions Israel.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
so this is, again, the New Living Translation, but it says, this is talking about Mary, and it says, confused and disturbed, Mary tried to think what the angel could mean. So the angel Gabriel had appeared to her and told her that the Lord is with you. And so she was confused and trying to figure out what the angel meant. And the angel said, don't be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be very great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his ancestor David, and he will reign over Israel forever. His kingdom will never end. That's what it says.
So reigning over Israel, if you think of Israel being the man who wrestled with God and with man, it gives a different meaning because and overcame. So we're all going to get desperate. We're all going to go through experiences where we get desperate. I talk about getting the hell beat out of us, to get desperate until we quit fighting God, because you're not going to win. You're not going to win against his plan. And so we've got to get to a place where we quit fighting him. And when it talks about fighting man, I think that's just our human nature. So we've got the two natures. There's always two paths to take. I talk about it being like a compass needle, and that compass is always wanting to point to true north. And true north is God's path. It's been his plan since time began, and that path is never going to change. We're made up of body, soul, and spirit. So our spirit is that God part of us that is that compass needle, that's his plan. It always points to the same place. And our spirit, I believe that our spirit is our mind, and that's our human nature part that's always trying to go that it's always trying to go that other way, but there's always going to be that tension to go back to due north, which is God's plan. And that is that wrestling between God and man. And once we submit and go, okay, that's where peace, love, happiness, meekness, gentleness, patience, that's where that comes in. And that's when we become Israel. What?
You're pointing.
Oh,
in front of your
no.
face.
He's talking with his fingers this time.
Talking with my fingers. At least I'm not, what's the politician? Anyway. Anyway, so we're always, we become Israel when we quit fighting God's plan and we just submit, and then we become Israel. And that's what the plan is. Or we become Jews and we go into captivity, and we're like the children of Israel who spent 40 years in the wilderness, rather than just quit serving the false gods, quit the idolatry, quit collecting all your gold to pound into a golden calf.
And once again, it's not like it isn't a piece of ground. It's not a place
No.
where we're going to go.
Yeah.
or
So
that
we're
we
so
need to go.
exactly, we're so confused because we're looking at it as a piece of dirt.
Israel today is nothing more than a corporate entity,
A corrupt one.
a very corrupt one. And so if you on the political side, the state of Idaho, state of Washington, they say the state of Israel. It is part of the Western corrupt corporate system that happened in 1871. So that's what we're talking about, the distinction between the political part and the piece of ground part versus the spiritual part, as
Wasn't
what
that the
Darren is talking about.
Yeah, wasn't at the same time that London, the city of London, became separate?
Yeah, so Washington D.C. is the muscle,
Mm-hmm.
and Rome is, and city of London is the financial part, but Britain is actually the head. That's where all the money actually ends up. So we never
Interesting.
were
Hence
really
the
freed.
Rothschilds.
Yes, we never were really freed.
No,
We're still,
we're still under their rule.
yep.
Go ahead if you had something.
No, that's just what we're trying to break free from in this country is, we thought we won the Civil War. We did.
Sure.
But I think as we talked about, I mean, that's another podcast altogether is to talk about 1871.
Yep.
But-
It is. That's almost like the 144,000 or the 12 tribes. It
And you-
can be a complete podcast on its own.
And you know who does an extremely good job of that is Mel Kay.
Yes.
She does an extremely good job
Mhm.
of outlining 1871. So anyway, maybe that's something we could
Yeah,
go
and
into next
actually, so Glenn Beck came out with a AI. It's an internal AI program that anybody can get on his website, and I believe it's free. If not, it's really, really cheap. But the AI will, it's like talking to you or you, will take you back to those documents and
Oh,
have a
wow.
conversation with you, just like we're sitting here talking. And you can ask it, don't lie, tell me what actually happened. Tell me, it's pretty cool how, and then you can ask it, put it in layman's terms, because it will use the language of back then.
Oh, wow.
And so it takes you through the founding documents
That's
and
really
stuff
cool.
like that, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a completely different
For another time.
podcast.
Yeah.
Different subjects for different time. Another interesting thing that I was going to bring up was in regards to that throne of David, since I think there is such mass misunderstanding in regards to it, because it's not a physical, there again, it's not the physical throne of David that the church is going to be built on, that the temple is going to be built on, or anything. If you look at Luke 1:31-33, that was the one when you were looking for the other one. And behold, thou shalt conceive, or is that the one you read?
I read it, but
Okay.
that's okay. It's the one
But-
where it's talking about he will be very great. He will be called the Son of the Most High.
Yeah.
The Lord God will give him the throne of his ancestor David, and he will reign over Israel forever.
It-
His kingdom will never end.
So Jesus is becoming the new throne. It became the new throne of David. So everything, I often talk about the doctrine of Christ. I have some of my friends believe in the flat earth theory. And one of the verses, we won't name names or point fingers, John, or anything like that.
Water
but-
doesn't lie.
He's not the only one.
Just saying.
But anyway, one of the verses, I did a video a long time ago on conspiracy theories, and one of the big things that I mentioned in it was the flat Earth, and it
Goodness.
was mind blowing to me how many people commented, "No, the flat Earth is biblical," and it's like, okay, show me your verses, and
See, I told you
yeah, I
that's how
know, and
I feel.
I know, and guess how much good it did for him to show the verses, but um, when it, because it does talk about the earth being on these pillars. Well,
And it not moving.
yeah, and do we really think the pillars are these cement pillars that
No.
are planted into nothing?
No.
And
They're heavenly pillars.
no, they're the pillars come back to the doctrine. So anyway, just give them.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. So John actually understands that. Um, but anyway, it comes back to the doctrine because everything, the doctrine of God became the doctrine of Christ. And so everything always comes back. You can find the doctrine, the 6 parts of the doctrine. I can't give them all by
Hebrews 6.
yeah, Hebrews 6, 1 and 2. It's faith toward God.
I'm going to read it here in a
Okay,
second.
yeah, that's good. You read it. So anyway, no, I'm serious. Because that is what it all comes down to. So the throne of David is built on Jesus. The New Testament in my blood. The New Testament, which was his blood, are those 6 parts of the doctrine. That is what Jesus was. That is who Jesus was his doctrine. So it doesn't really matter what church doctrine is. It doesn't really matter what your doctrine is. There's 144,000 different Christian religions, non-denominational Christian religions. So everybody has their own doctrine. Every church has their own doctrine. But if it's not lining up with the doctrine of Christ, which there again, I've never found a church that lines up with the doctrine of Christ.
So you have those verses?
I do.
Okay.
So Hebrews chapter 6, it says, "Therefore, leaving the principles of the doctrine of Christ, let us go."
You know what, John, back up and read the last couple of verses of the other chapter, because they all tie together. Because
They do.
there again, we're the doctrine. Those verses that he was just getting ready to read, those doctrines are referred to as the milk. Let's not reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Let's not reinvent the wheel. This is not even the meat.
True.
So
in the last couple of verses, it says, "For someone who lives on milk is still an infant and doesn't know what to do and doesn't know how to do what is right. Solid food is for those who are mature, who through training have the skill to recognize the difference between right and wrong." So I remember
That makes sense.
it does,
If you
doesn't
really
it?
think about
yeah.
it.
That takes me back to the Garden of Eden, though.
Tell me what you mean.
Yeah,
Oh,
tell
well,
us.
Explain.
What did God say? Or what did the serpent say to
Don't.
Eve?
Oh, you will not die.
You won't die.
You'll become as gods. You will know the difference between good and evil.
You will know the difference between right and wrong, good and evil, right?
Mhm.
What did you just say about that?
Yeah, it says that once they start eating the solid food, they'll be able to recognize the difference between right and wrong.
Oh, interesting. So
I don't know why that took me back to Genesis,
That is
but it did.
interesting.
yeah,
though.
no, it's true though.
Yeah,
That's
really good. So then you go to the next chapter.
So if you're not even ready for the 6 parts of the doctrine, if you don't understand those, and I hate to say it, but I guarantee most people don't, because as far as you
No.
understand it from what religion teaches you,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
do you
Mhm.
understand it from what the Bible is telling you, what faith towards God is? Religion doesn't even believe in God because God became Jesus.
Or
How can that
that's
even
what they
be?
say.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
just so mind-blowing to me.
But think about how many times we went to conventions, we went to church.
Mhm.
What did we listen to?
That's true.
Did they ever really talk about the Bible?
No, the
Very
six
little.
parts, very little.
Yeah, it was like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John,
Yeah.
and it was all
Yep.
about the birth of Christ.
Yep.
which is really important, right? It
But
is
not
really
if you don't
important.
understand the first
But-
stuff.
Well, it is important, but again, this goes back to, I don't know, the first or second podcast that we did where we talked about that the 2x2s base their whole premises
Matthew 10.
on Matthew 10.
10.
Yeah,
And
something
it's
like
not the whole chapter, it's
that. It's a
Matthew-
handful of verses.
handful of verses that
Yep.
they base it on is one time Jesus sent out the 12 disciples, and there was 6 pairs of them that went out one time. And in this one time, he told them to go out to the Jews only. Do not go to the Gentiles, to the Jews only.
Okay, just a minute here because that's really interesting. So, from what we've been talking about here, what was the Jew again?
The ones that were,
The Jews are the ones that
In
are
captivity.
in captivity. They're
Yeah.
still in captivity.
that's interesting. That is really interesting. But that was what sorry, I did it again, is that one.
Pointing to.
Yeah, I
You're
know. I'm
pointing
doing
to.
pointing to.
Stop.
Yeah, you two are bad. You'd think you lived together or something.
You would think we were married or something.
Become one.
So, but that one time he sent them out and he told them, don't take a script with you, only take one pair of clothes, don't take food with you. And basically he said, only go to the Jews. And he said, heal the sick and cast out devils, all of those things. But they don't,
That religion isn't doing.
right, religion and especially the 2x2s do not do casting out devils
Mhm.
or healing the sick. So when they base it on Matthew 10, that's why I say they don't base it on the whole thing. They only base it on a portion of it because they leave out that part.
Right.
But that was one time. That wasn't every time. That was one time that he did that. And it was a special one to go just to the Jews, as you said, ones in captivity.
You think
to wake
about
'em
it,
up.
because the Jewish nation today, they're still not trying to repair their relationship with God. I guess I should have looked up the verse
Well, maybe
since you
not
like
all
verses.
of them, but yeah.
But if
Overall,
yeah, I get scattered. Somebody says a word and it blows my brain. But when I was struggling with the whole, because we were all raised that you were going to go to hell if you got divorced.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it wasn't
Hell,
just
hellfire and
divorce.
brimstone.
Yeah,
You stay in a marriage,
Yeah,
even
that
if it's not
sucks.
good.
Right.
yeah, you stay in it because you're going to go to hell. And so,
If you get remarried.
yeah, if you get remarried, yeah, you can live in hell afterwards. You can live in hell and stay married, or you can live in hell as a single person afterwards and struggle, and that's okay. But just don't get remarried and have a decent relationship, like Sonny and I are hopefully proving to a lot of people that you can get remarried and
But
live
he
in
is
peace,
kind of
love,
mouthy
yeah.
sometimes. So.
Yeah, I have to keep her in her place because she's the mouthy one. But
Huh.
but
I'm kinda
anyway,
on
when
Sony's side.
but anyway, that was one of the verses that really spoke to me, that really changed my view on, because I stayed in my marriage because I knew that if I got divorced that I'd end up probably getting married again and then I'd have to fear going to hell forever. But when God gave Israel a bill of divorcement, there again, we never hear that talked about through religion. You never hear about how God gave Israel a bill of divorcement. Well, when
He
did
did.
when did he ever take her back as his bride? But anybody who has dealt with a manipulative woman or a scorned woman, you can see it in the state of Israel today. Sorry, they're manipulative, They manipulate our country into doing their dirty work
We give
for
them
them.
billions.
We give them
upon
billions.
billions.
We're the ones that go and bomb Iran. And I just
Yep.
saw a blurb the other day where we might get into another pissing match with Iran. Well, it's not our job. It's not our job to protect the state of Israel. God wants to protect them. But they're still stuck as being Jews in captivity rather than just they haven't even crossed over from the land of adultery yet, or not adultery, but idolatry yet. And until they do that, then God's not going to protect them. God's not going to heal them. God's not going to prosper them yes, there's many Jews that are prosperous financially, but you look at how corrupt the money is. All of our centers of influence are all controlled through Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Entertainment, religion, government,
All tied
um,
together.
schools, our
You-
books.
You know what's funny is if you look at a prison, I was in Spokane the other day, and after I got unloaded, I was on one of the main thoroughways coming through the valley, headed back out to the freeway, and I came up over the top of the hill and kind of started dropping down, and I was like, gosh, I didn't know there was a prison there, because it looked just like a medium or not a maximum, but a medium or really low security prison. And as I got closer to it and I started going around the corner, it was a high school. The fences around it and things looked just until I got a different
prison.
perspective, it looked just like a prison.
It is prison.
It was crazy.
It's a
They're
place
indoctrinating your kids.
Yeah, they're
They are.
indoctrinating.
But anyway, back to what you were.
I feel that talking about schools, remember when you used to have to go to class and you would put your hand over your heart and sing Pledge of Allegiance?
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that.
No.
No,
I think that's so sad because we are America.
Yeah,
That is one thing I wonder why they stopped doing.
because they hate America.
yep, they do.
No, it's because other countries have come in
Ex-
and
exactly.
it offends them. Well,
Yeah.
then go back to your country.
Yeah.
Trump said something the other day to the effect of, if you don't like it here, leave.
And I heard that, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty awesome coming from a sitting United States president.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like the way. I mean, he doesn't.
There are things I do not agree with him on,
He's very pro-Israel.
and that happens to be one of them. The other is, unfortunately, we have some, not all, some law enforcement. They run around like a bunch of rabid dogs, and that needs to be brought under control. They're operating under the administrative side rather than the lawful side, and most of them don't even know it. But anyway,
No, probably not. Power.
Yeah.
Power. They get power and it corrupts. And
so two things that you've talked about that I wanted to catch up. So the fruits of the spirit
Yep.
and the fruits of the flesh, the idolatry.
Yep.
You can get them in Galatians 5. And I'll just let you all go read that for yourself. Did you still want me to read those
Yep.
other verses?
yeah,
Yeah.
we need to still read the verses, the doctrine verses.
But just so you know, we got 20 minutes left.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll start in Hebrews 5, verse 13. It says, "For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil." And here's the chapter 6. Here's the the verses that I was
Lays
originally.
out the 6 parts.
Mm-hmm. Therefore, leaving the principles of the doctrine of Christ, let us go on unto perfection.
Yeah, and how many times there again do you hear religious people say, "Well, nobody's perfect." Even all the child molesters, ministers in the faith we grew up in, well, they're only human. They're only human. Well,
Scapegoat.
if you're going to accept your own humanness and your own human flaws because you're only human, then I guess does that mean that we have to accept the ministers' human flaws also? That because they're only human.
Well, we're only human, so
Yeah, so
you got to accept divorce and remarriage.
yeah, you got to
So
accept
that's
all
the
of it.
ultimate sin.
Yeah, I know that's it. That's actually worse than child molesting. Oddly enough.
In the
Yeah.
2x2 faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah.
That's all I ever heard. You cannot get a divorce.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or get remarried.
Or
And it
you
didn't
can't
matter how
remarry, you'll
abusive the
have to
marriage
leave
was.
that
Yeah, you had
religion.
to
And I
stay
was
in it.
like, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
Going to hell.
Yeah.
So, not laying again the foundation of repentance from dead works and of faith toward God, of the doctrine of the baptisms and laying on the hands, and of the resurrection of the dead, and of eternal judgment. And this we will do if God permit. And he goes on to say, for it is impossible for those who were once enlightened to have tasted of the heavenly gift and were made partakers of the Holy Ghost. I could keep going and going and going,
But when you look at, you're going to have to do the homework. You're going to have to really dig on what the Bible actually says about each of those 6 parts, because all I'm going to say is I guarantee you're not getting it at church. And in the 19 years that I've been on this path, when I start trying to explain each of those just from a biblical standpoint, what each one of those 6 parts stands for, people's eyes glaze over.
Yep.
And you lose them.
Yep.
Because even repentance from dead works, that was actually the last one of those 6 parts that I finally got revelation in. And ironically, it was when I was leaving Bonner's convention one day.
Bonners, Idaho.
Bonners Ferry, Idaho.
From the 2x2.
Yep, church convention.
Church convention.
I had gone for, I don't know, a day, or maybe I went for the weekend. I can't remember. But anyway, when I first quit going to church. But anyway, repentance from dead works, you have to understand Old Testament law before you can understand dead works. And basically anything that you can touch, taste, feel, anything that has matter, so to speak, is law, is the Old Testament law, because everything under Christ, it's no longer like, we'll say, a physical cutting away of the circumcision. You can look up circumcision, and the reason that they circumcise still today is for cleanliness. Well, washing of the hands was for cleanliness. We all went through COVID, and you were supposed to wash your hands, and you were supposed to stay 6 feet away from people, and you're supposed to put a covering on your face, and you're supposed to do all these things because of germs. Because, rather than Christ, he went in and healed the lepers. He didn't go in a hazmat suit. He went in because he understood what the healing was. And so that's where we're still living, we're still living under the law. I get really animated on some of these subjects, and I know I do, and Sonny tries to calm me down. She's like, what was it that you said? You're like, you get too wound up and you get too hyped up. And I know I know I do. What? She sees
There's
a
a
bug.
spider
She
coming
sees
straight
a
down.
bug.
It's right here.
You can
It's
see
right here. It's right
Oh,
here.
he's tiny.
he's Not, I don't know where
He's just coming to say hi.
is. He hasn't dealt with her fears very good yet.
Well,
A good job. You killed it, though. Killed one of God's little creatures. So,
I thought she was
like,
being animated towards you.
I did too, and I was like, "Boy, she's really doing this good."
no, I knew it was a bug.
And she didn't stop, and I was like, "Wow,
she,
I'm impressed."
She loses her mind. so anyway, we kind of got off subject there. But
I
Well,
show my fears.
So
Spiders.
yeah,
Mice.
even the fruits of the spirit and the fruits of the flesh, you can take word by word and go back into the Hebrew languages and stuff and find out, because
wait a minute here,
translations
Walter, just
were-
wait here, because that's really important. You say go back into the Hebrew, which the Hebrew
was crossing over.
was crossing over.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. That just seems
No,
significant to me.
I said that on purpose, but
Yeah.
but even that in itself, most people don't know what that definition
Yeah,
is
we didn't.
No,
until
no.
I didn't until you read
Mm-mm.
it earlier,
Yeah.
So
I don't
Yes.
think anybody's read half of that Bible.
No.
no,
No.
so
My
I,
mom, I can tell you, my mother has read it from front to back,
oh,
more
Yeah.
I'm
than
sure
once.
several times.
a lot.
But did she
But would-
understand it
Yes.
that way? Okay.
So her and her best friend used to sit around and they would talk about this Bible.
That was Verley, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I loved her.
They would sit around for hours
Yeah.
and have conversations like this
That's awesome.
of
That's
what they
nice.
thought, what they see, what everything.
Much more productive than the years we spent under the spell of ministries.
And
And I never
Don't-
understood it. Like, I didn't really understand. I was just told this is how it is.
Mhm.
well, and
So I went with it.
and don't get us wrong. I loved going to convention.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
loved it, yes.
I
It
would
was
go
a
to
social
convention
event
tomorrow
of
and
us.
still
Oh,
Oh yeah.
and still love it.
I love going to church. I used to. I mean, I listened to a lot of church when I was working or whatever. I would listen to it. I'd eat it up. I loved it.
Well, and I will say again is that after his dad died, so for my brother, we had, and my mother, we had a
Celebration. of life.
celebration of life. And after his dad died on Friday, the following Sunday, everyone in the family, most people that were there were family. And so we went up. His two sons were here and their wives. So we went up,
And our grandson,
and our grandson, Ender.
who's adorable.
Yes. And so, anyway, we went up for the Sunday morning worship meeting. I guess that's what you would call it. Most
Just
people.
a little Sunday morning meeting.
But, yeah, but for
Yep.
non people. So, but anyway, the whole thing, people got up and talked about their feelings about dad and grandpa, and it
Mhm.
was really special. And as soon as the meeting was over, I said, "You guys had a celebration of life right here."
Yeah.
And I could see it made them uncomfortable because they were all like, "We don't want that." But that's exactly I guess they've never been to a celebration of life, so they didn't know what a celebration of life was. But that's exactly what it was.
It was, and actually, we had a celebration of life that night that I came over and we were singing hymns
Oh yeah.
in the
Stood
living room.
around the hospital bed.
Yep. And I had the opportunity to tell, of course, I had said to your dad several times that he reminded me of my own
Uh-huh.
dad. And that was a celebration of life as well.
Yeah.
Um
But
He-
I never knew what a celebration of life was.
I
It was
didn't either.
always a funeral
A
Mhm.
gospel
with a
meeting.
A
with
gospel
a
meeting.
casket in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a gospel meeting with a casket.
Yes.
it was.
You remember Dode?
Yeah.
Holland?
Yep.
Yeah.
That old woman. Oh, I loved her to death, but oh my
Oh,
God.
we all did.
Oh, she was so sweet.
Girls' Day and Boys' Day.
She told me when
Boys'
she,
Day, nothing.
Huh?
That's been later. I was always
What?
bitter because girls got a Girls' Day.
No, the boys got the boys.
Yeah.
Well, I only got to go one time.
What?
Yeah, Sarah Starterback. See, life was pretty unfair to us people over here in the
Wow.
Palouse, not on Flanagan Creek.
Yes, we were
There he goes
bougie
again.
over there. Didn't even know it.
No, didn't know
And
how
I
good
wasn't
you had it.
anywhere near.
No, you clear down in Tri-Cities for crying out loud.
But anyway, she told me, she says, "You're going to go by my casket when I die, and I'm going to open one eye and look at you." And I went, "What?" Like, I am like 9 or 10 years old. And it's not my first funeral. It's not my first rodeo. And so we go to the funeral. And I refused to go by that casket. Like, I went wide. And Mom goes, "Get over here." I was like, "Oh, heck no. That woman is going to open her eyes." She goes, "Marge, they
Only
sew them.
one.
Well, a stitch is going to come apart. I don't know."
Yeah. No, they glue them together.
Oh, my goodness.
Plus, they have eye caps. So
So she's the one that freaked me out about going to
that
funerals.
is so funny.
Okay, so I just want to let you know we have less than 10 minutes.
Have less than 10 minutes. Okay.
Well,
So anyway, interesting. It's interesting to learn more. And this is, Marge, would you have to admit, this is a pretty good church,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Marge isn't one to really go to church or
No.
any of that kind of thing. But this is,
I went for
the-
18 years.
yeah, this is what it's all about.
So,
is
I need-
this is where we learn, like she was saying with her mom. And
I need to
mom's
point
friend.
something out really quick. So we've been through several hours here with you today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we start talking about your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who shows up?
Yeah, goosebumps. I know it was the weirdest thing.
That is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if we can get I got goosebumps all over the place because he came up and he breathed on me. I didn't even know he was here,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I just feel
I
that
just seen
breath.
him come through.
Yeah.
Like he just
So,
like, "Hey
Oh,
guys."
he's taken off.
That's
That's Buddy.
Nope,
Dad's
he's gonna sit down.
buddy, Dad's dog.
Yeah.
He
And I
inherited after he passed.
I don't know if I know I mentioned this in one of the very first ones, but I'm not sure that it actually got downloaded. But the flag that's behind Darren was the flag that was draped over your dad's casket.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so, with the beginning of these podcasts, the timing of the beginning of these podcasts, it kind of has a little bit of a sentimental feeling for all of us.
Yep.
And so, anyway,
And it was pointed out. I don't think I said this. It was pointed out that this is actually a war flag, but
it is a war flag.
Let's not forget we are in a war.
Hmm.
Mhm.
We are in a war against
Very much so.
those two. Just like boom, just
What-
like
What are those
the-
verses, Darren?
Israel, just like was who was it? Judah, not Judah. Who was the guy?
Jacob.
Jacob. There we go.
Jacob.
He wrestled with God. We're in a war. We're
Yeah.
in a war between our flesh, our
Yeah.
place.
Jacob wrestled with the man of God,
Yeah.
a man of God. And it was after that Genesis. Did we read those verses?
I don't remember if we did or not. Read them again.
Genesis 32. Let's go and do that. Genesis 32. I'm reading it on the phone. So, and it's 24 to 28. So, and it says, so if you go back, during the night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 servant wives, his 11 sons, and crossed the Jabbok River with them. After taking them to the other side, he sent over all of his possessions. This left Jacob all alone in the camp, and a man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. When the man saw that he would not win the match, he touched Jacob's hip and wrenched it out of its socket. That must have been painful.
Oh, ouch.
So the other thing that
Yeah.
that hit me the first time Sonny read that was So most people know my feelings on healings, and that's a big part of that whole doctrine thing. But I wonder how many of us have these joints that are out of joint because of wrestling with God, wrestling with man over
Right.
these
And
powers and
then
principalities.
the man that Jacob was wrestling with said, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And uh, the man asked, "What is your name?" And he replied, "Jacob." And the man of God said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob. From now on, you will be called Israel, because you have fought with God and with men and have won."
Yeah, boom. That's what we're all are supposed to be trying to do. We
Yeah.
want to win. We want to be good. That's what Christ showed us how to do, is become overcomers. We get all focused on now, he's wiped away our sins. He's washed away our sins. He's given us grace. Well, there's a whole lot more to it. We need to work. We need to worry. Oh, this was something that I was going to say in regards to that whole Israel thing. Um, we we worry about the inheritance. We worry about getting that inheritance of heaven. But if we would put more focus on our relationship, us three kids, my two siblings and I, we received some inheritance when Dad died. But the inheritance, even after he died, I had a visit with my sister, and it's like, you know what? The little bit of land that we got, it doesn't really even mean anything to us, because we know, well, we know what we lost to get that land given to us.
Hmm.
And that was because we had a relationship with Dad. We didn't care about the land, we cared about the relationship. And there's a reason that my two siblings and I, we all live here on the same farm. It's because we had a relationship with Dad. None of us, I've known people who were more concerned about the inheritance than they were with the
About their own children.
relationship. I see you shaking your head. I know
Yeah.
No,
exactly what
she's
you're
not
saying.
shaking her head. She's
No,
nodding her
I
head.
know, shaking her head and
Yeah.
nodding, because I know exactly
Mhm.
what's going through her head. And that is where we need to be. We need to quit worrying about what Jesus gave us, and we need to. What was it? The JFK. What was his? It doesn't. It's not what your country can do for you. It's what
But
you
what you
can
can do
do
for your
for
Ask
your
not.
country.
Yeah, ask
Yep.
not what your country can do
Yeah,
for
there
you,
we go.
but
And
what you
that's
can do for your country.
and that's what it needs to be. Is we need to quit worrying about. We need to quit worrying about all the other stuff. And anyway, there's more stuff on the whole 12 tribes and everything.
Oh,
but
absolutely. We
that
could
we
talk
could have
for
got into.
a
But
half a day,
But
but
we knew this would take a full
yeah,
hour, so
we
that's
did.
why.
I did.
and I want
What
to
were-
I,
I want to
I
read.
think
Here,
I
just
think that going off of what you just said, I feel like um, I've had a family member like that. Like, it was materialistic stuff. To get the person that has been in your life and that has watched you grow, that has helped you grow, is the hardest thing, to watch them die.
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, like my dad, it was like one day I seen him, the next day he was gone.
Yeah.
I've always had, that's always been the hardest thing to understand. And then I watched my aunt die. And
You
that
watched
was
what?
my aunt died
Oh,
with pancreatic cancer.
yuck.
And it was just like I knew she was going to die. That wasn't as hard as not knowing. But the greed is what kills me.
Mhm.
You,
Yeah.
you have a family member that is dying,
Mhm,
and you're thinking about yourself.
mhm.
You're thinking about what you can get,
Yeah.
what you can prosper from.
Yeah.
You're not
Mhm,
thinking about that family
Mm-mm.
member that's been there.
mhm,
I have just never, it just blows my mind.
mhm.
Well, the one thing I will say about his son Carson came and this was probably a month before your dad died, something like that. Anyway, he came and he helped with changing him,
Wow.
repositioning him. It was
Wow.
a lot of it was a lot, and we really appreciated that. And then on the day he died, they didn't know when he was going to die, but both of his sons came with their wives
Mm-hmm.
and said
Dad died
goodbye.
minutes after.
And there was two of his of your a niece and her husband and another nephew and his wife
Their spouses.
came, but the other nephew and his wife had been here to help with dad. So all of them had been there at one time or another to help.
Yeah.
So
And that was all really healing for them, whether
I'm
they
sure
realized
it
it or not.
was. Yeah.
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 That's like when my aunt was dying. My mom was just utterly tired. I was too. We were driving back and forth from Post Falls. And it was like our last time. And I said, Mom, grab your blanket, grab your pillow. I'll drive. Let's go. Because I'm not going to just not go because I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And we went up, and then my aunt had died. Well, we got called back on Monday because she had relapsed. But we were coming home on Sunday, and she said, Thanks for making me go.
Thanks for what?
Thank you for making me go.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And that I was like, anytime, dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's about her. It's not
Yeah.
about us and how tired we
Mhm.
are. We can take a nap anytime.
Yep.
Right.
It's about her.
Yep.
Yeah. I will say it is exhausting taking
Mhm.
care of someone, but it was worth it. So
Well,
so we are beyond time, so we
I
need to
just-
wrap this up, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
I just
Go
wanted to read this last verse because it part of it came up, and it's the King James version, and it says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places." Now, so part of that verse has been left out. If you go back to I want to say it's either the Ethiopian Bible or the 1600s Bible, there's part of that verse that talks about like our local ruler. I
That'd
don't
be
know
the
any other word.
Geneva Bible.
Yeah, the
Okay,
Geneva Bible.
Which verse was that?
Ephesians 6 and 12.
Let me just go there. I know
I
where
don't know that it will allow you to pull it up, but you can try.
6 and
Well-
12. Okay.
So the
Um,
very last part, it talks about like local governments,
Okay.
if I remember
so,
right.
can you
Well,
read
we-
it?
Yeah. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the worldly governors, the princes of
World of governors.
the the princes of the darkness of the world, against spiritual wickedness, which are in ye high places, or in the high places. I think it's what it means.
It's
Yes.
crazy wording.
It is crazy strange.
Trying to read it.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah. It is.
But so my point in bringing that up is do your research,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
dig, and then when you get tired of digging, dig some more.
And do word searches.
Yes,
Understand what the words mean, because the words
absolutely.
are where it's all at. It
Yep.
it can completely change the meaning of a
So-
verse.
I have one thing to say. Did anybody ever have the Bible dictionary at their
Yes.
house?
Uh-huh.
You know what
yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We had one.
Yeah, nice.
And
So-
those things come in handy if
Yeah.
you can get your hands on it.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Sonny's got everything on her phone.
But I don't know if you can see it. But anyway, there's one called the Holy Bible. It doesn't show up very good on here. But anyway, it's on, you can get it on the phone, and it's called the Holy Bible. And you can do all kinds of searches on that.
Yeah.
And you
Everything
can get all versions.
everything
so-
is created in language.
Yeah, but
Yep.
be careful of people's interpretation. That's what always bothers me a little bit, where people want to read books and go to, study Bibles and that type of thing. But uh, do your own study Bible. I mean, you've got the Bible. There's things in there that are off, and I get it. But
But there's still a lot of truth.
there's a lot of truths. You will find truth in there, and the truth will set you free.
Yes.
But you have to just dig, and you have to do the word searches and to understand all of it.
So with that, we're 5 minutes beyond. So we're gonna go
So
ahead and
thank you for coming.
yes,
Yeah,
thank you
thanks.
for coming.
Thank you for being here with us.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
loved
this
it.
was
Thank
fun.
you for letting me be on.
Yeah, this was
And
fun.
again, keep it real
Keep it
and keep it
authentic.
authentic. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah. Like, share, comment.
And again, we'll be on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.